And we're back after the international break with more Premier League, and that means more Premier League predictions. It's going to be an exciting end to the season. Let's not waste any more time and jump straight into this, starting with the first game, which is Liverpool versus Watford. Oh, Liverpool. I'm just not a massive fan of Liverpool. I just don't like them. I get a bit sick of them winning, and I can't put my finger on why. They're an amazing side with an amazing team which plays amazing football. And I like Klopp. I don't really have a problem with him until he starts whinging, and he does whinge. He does like to whinge and bitch quite a bit. Yeah, so I guess it comes down to kind of fans and entitlement of the fans that just assume that they are the team that should be winning everything and they're the best side ever. So yeah, I think it's that sense of entitlement which just puts me off Liverpool and why I would rather City win the league. And I think also what you can say is jealousy. Just jealousy, because they're so good. And when they're playing in this vein of form like they have done for seemingly forever, where when they're on form, they're amazing. And when they're off form, they just find a way to win. They're very annoying if you don't like them, but you have to give them the respect they deserve. I would love Watford to beat them. Are they going to? No, they're not. Not at all. It's probably going to be something like 5-0 to Liverpool. And I know Hodgson has made Watford more resilient and the results have improved a little bit. But come on. If you're doing the prediction somewhat seriously, which is loose for this channel, you have to back Liverpool. I already said it, didn't I? 5-0 to Liverpool. Burnley versus Manchester City. See, I don't have that same aversion to Manchester City as I do against Liverpool. And I guess I used to have it against Man United as well. But I've never really had that problem with City. And I know some people do, because some people have a problem with the money and some people have a problem with where the money comes from. But I never have done. And I enjoy them. But they seem like that they are going to be caught. Liverpool just seem like a bulldozer smashing everybody down in their path. Whereas City have these little blips in them. And if a side can just be stubborn and ride their luck, that they can just have these frustrating games like they had against Crystal Palace. And this could be another one here. Burnley, you know they're just going to sit really deep and they're just going to try and defend, and they're just going to try and see it out with 10 men behind the ball. They might nick something from a set piece. I've said that millions of times about Burnley before, but that's really the only choice they've got for in this one. And if Burnley can get the opening goal, it could be a really frustrating afternoon for Man City. But I am going to be backing the Sky Blues to get the result they need to just keep edging ahead of Liverpool in the title race. I am going for Burnley 0, Man City 2. I've got to say how good it is to have a title race again. And it's not the 3 teams or 4 teams that we hope for, but just to have 2 sides going head to head and not one side running away with it is so good. And let me know down below in the comments who you would like to win the league. Brighton Hove Albion versus Norwich City is next. And we've had all the glitz and glamour of the teams at the top, but now it is battle of the losers. Sorry, Brighton and Norwich fans, but your teams have been dreadful lately. Norwich have been pretty much dreadful all season and have just been resigned to the Championship. We talked about it all the time, but they just don't. Something's going to give in this game, isn't it? Because they are just lost in the form guide, and so something's going to give. And Brighton have been terrible as well lately, and they get a pass because they've been good in the first half of the season, and they're a little bit lucky that the form that no one's going to really catch them, you wouldn't have thought. And you would imagine that if there were any lingering doubts about relegation, that this game would put it to bed, even if they only got a point. But I think they're going to get all 3, because you just can't. I mean, I've been too guilty in the past of backing Norwich, and I'm not going to do it again. Not going to fall into that trap. So Brighton do get the narrow win they need. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for the Seagulls. Chelsea versus Brentford is the next one. Another great game for Brentford to have in this Premier League season. The results have picked up for the Bees and they look like they're just a few points now away from safety. After another great win last time out, they were at home, but they did obviously lose to Leicester in their last game that they played. Chelsea's season just drags along, doesn't it? They got still in a lot of cup contention with Champions League and FA Cup, but League, they're just coasting along in that third place spot. And it's more about the off the field issues, as we know what's going on with Chelsea. And it looks like, are their fans going to be allowed tickets for various games, and what's going to happen to their players after the season ends? So a lot of distractions for Chelsea. So a lot of, you would say, opportunity for Brentford to cause an upset. Look, Brentford is all about two players, isn't it? Eriksen, a great story. Wonderful. Great to see him back. He's scoring goals. He's scoring great goals, even at international level, and he's making a difference for Brentford as well. But Ivan Toney back in the goals, but God, does this guy want to be here? It seems like every opportunity he gets to slag off Brentford on social media, he will take it. They asked him, like, some recent one, they said, like, he said he was a footballer, and they asked him who he played for, and he said, nowhere special. You're playing in London for a Premier League side. Your last club was Peterborough. How, like, surely you must see that's a little bit of an uptick in form. And how much better do you really want it to get? So I think Ivan Toney might be in danger of pissing off some of the fans, but goals is always a way to fans' hearts, isn't it? And but interesting to see what they do about it, because Brentford don't seem like they want to upset him in any way, shape or form. So they're just kind of letting it slide. But off the field distractions that they don't really need, but on the field, again, it's just, I mean, I'm boring. I'm not going for any shocks here, but I just think it's going to be a win for Chelsea. I think they'll find a way, and I think it will be a 2-1 win for the Blues. Leeds United versus Southampton. Well, Bielsa might be gone, but that does not mean that Leeds have stopped being entertaining in any way, shape or form. That Wolves game, if you haven't seen it, is one of the games of the season, of the decade. And even at the start of it, you had Bamford going off in tears. What a shame he has been. He's been a hammer blow for Leeds all the way through the season. But 2-0 down against Wolves, and they find a way to win it 3-2. After that crazy Norwich game they had as well, where they got a last minute winner. Jesse Marsch must have aged about 15 years already, just being in the Premier League for this short space of time. Is he even going to be alive at the end of the season? Are they going to have to maybe get a new manager because he's going to have to leave? I can't see his health is going to be in a good way at all for being a Leeds manager for a long time. But they carry on to be exciting, and I think Leeds would be confident of putting their relegation fears even further behind them by beating this Southampton side, who I think seem like they're on the beach. Let's be fair. The league form has tailed off. Unfortunately, they didn't go any further in the cup either, so there's really not a lot to play for House and Hootle's side. And Southampton can just create shocks at any point. It's such a hard side to predict, like a lot of sides are in the Premier League, and they've such their team is so hard to name at times. Remember the players, because they've got so many good players, but so many kind of players that just go under the radar. So when they score a goal, you're like, oh yeah. Other than Ward-Prowse, of course, great to see him playing for England, but that you just like, oh yeah, I forgot about him. Oh yeah, he's pretty good. So you never know when an uptick in form can come from Southampton, but I just think Leeds have got a bit of momentum, and I think that they'll come through with a 2-1, probably last minute winner again. So I'm going 2-1 Leeds in this one. Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Aston Villa is next one up. Midlands derby. You'd expect a lot of fireworks. The last time these two sides played, it was pretty much the start of the end of Dean Smith, where Villa were 2-0 up and Wolves came back to beat them 3-2. So we just talked about them being on the wrong end of a 3-2 result against Leeds. So that, really does balance itself out over the course of a season. But both of these sides have not been great of late. Wolves' form has tailed off and they don't really have a lot to play for now, although they still will harbour aspirations of getting in the probably not Champions League but Europa League. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh on them. Aston Villa already seem to be all about Coutinho. If Coutinho turns up and plays, they play. Other than that, it's a bit of a struggle for them. It was a struggle for them against Arsenal, and they just seemed more pissed off at the fact Arsenal celebrated beating them than they did actually trying to stop Arsenal from beating them. And so again, two sides with not huge amounts to play for. So why just think it's going to be a draw? Let's go for handshakes all round, 1-1. Manchester United versus Leicester City. I would love to sit here and come up with reasons why Leicester are going to inflict more pain on Ralph Rangnick's side, but I just can't do it. The more I think about this game, the only thing that comes to my mind is a narrow Manchester United win. Probably with a Cristiano Ronaldo winner, or probably Bruno Fernandes, the little bitch that knocked my half-beloved North Macedonia out of World Cup qualification. Interested to see what reaction Maguire gets after he got booed, and the overreaction to him getting booed is quite crazy, really. Let me know what you think about that one down below. It seemed a bit of a storm in a teacup, but for a player that's not been playing well at all. And Leicester you would think they would normally cause Man United a lot of problems, and it's a big game, but they will have one eye on the European competition they've got in the Europa Conference League on Thursday. And as we talked about, they haven't got Vardy, but they are better at the back. We're having Evans and Castagna back. But I just think Man United will win it, won't they? They're sods they are. And while they got Ronaldo, you've got that golden match winner. 1-0 Man U. West Ham United versus Everton. So Everton, where to begin with Everton? You had Frank Lampard accusing them of having a lack of testicular fortitude after their defeat in the FA Cup to book capitulation against Palace in the FA Cup, which is really weird. Because the last game against Newcastle, I thought although it wasn't a great game, they did show a lot of fight and they did show a lot of pride in a game where this was the only thing that seemed that it was of any note, where you see that guy tied to the post. I think it's a guy. And great effort. How has he done that, by the way? But anyway, I'm digress. But they managed to win that game in a lot of adversity, being down to 10 men. So I'm surprised that he would bury the players in such a way. I think we're all a bit surprised about that. It's not often managers do that these days. West Ham did look a bit gassed against Spurs, so I think that rest of international break will do everyone a bit of good. I think they will reset, and I think that they will want to put on a bit of a performance. But again, you have to say Everton might have met West Ham at a good time here, because the Hammers have got Europa League quarter-final coming up in midweek. So Moyes doesn't really have a lot of choice of rest and rotation, but he may take the option to do that, so it may be a good opportunity for Everton. But I don't know what the teams are going to be, so I have to back the Hammers. I think the Hammers will beat this dreadful Everton side, who could yet still go down to cause a massive shock. I think it'll be West Ham 2, Everton 0. Tottenham Hotspur versus Newcastle. Really good game, this one on Sunday. Both sides both were in good form. I was saying Newcastle's form's tailed off a little bit, but they still played well. They've just been on the wrong end of results. Spurs have finally got a bit of mojo going under Conte. Yes, the two leading lights are shining as ever in Kane and in Song, but Kulishevsky looks an excellent signing, as does Rodrigo Bentancur. Looks wonderful at the back as well. They still have the mistakes in them, and they still find ways to let sides back into games, but Spurs being at home, they seem like they've got a bit of vigour in the swagger in their step, and I think that they will very much enjoy playing against this Newcastle side, who again will give it a go. Not expect a good performance from the Geordies. I think Spurs will get through it. I'm going to go for Tottenham 3, Newcastle 1. And finally, we have Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. Palace What a great performance against Everton to get into the FA Cup semi-finals. And I think all Arsenal fans will just be hoping that you could just rest now and relax. You don't need to try in the league games. You can just let Arsenal have a walk over here. But it won't be the case, will it? Vieira will want to win this one. He'll want to get one over on his old club. And Palace looks certainly capable of doing that from what we've seen from them this season. Just excellent going forward. Pretty solid still at the back. But Arsenal have been great too. Let's not forget about them. They look a very different unit. They don't look the laughing stock that they have done in the past as well. And now people seem to be annoyed at the fact that they are looking like they have a bit more spirit about them. And people don't seem to like that very much. Top four is still very much not sewn up. So they shouldn't act like it is. And I guess that's why they are celebrating those wins, much to the annoyance of the fans of the other team. But Arsenal getting fourth is a big deal, a huge deal for them that no one would have thought would have been possible this season, and even especially at the start after 3 games when they were rock bottom. So Arteta, and I've been critical of him as well, deserves a lot of credit for what he's done with his Arsenal side. If they had a proper striker, my God, I think they would be absolutely no problem nailed on in that 4th place. But this should be a very entertaining game. I think this is a very open game. Both sides going for it. Both sides playing good football. You know I'm a sucker for Arsenal, and so I'm going to be backing them. But this one really could go either way and could open the door for Spurs and Man United this weekend. But I'm going to go for Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 2. And that will do it for Premier League predictions for this week. I hope you liked the video, and please leave your comments down below. Don't just leave predictions. It's so boring and tame. Leave me your funny and witty comments, and maybe, probably not, I'll get back to you on those. But if you could hit like on the video, that helps me out so much. If you could subscribe to the channel if you like the content, that helps me out as well. But just generally, thanks for watching. I'll be back very soon with more content. Ta-ra for now.